Welcome to ILTV's Israel Daily. I'm Amita Rari, and coming up in today's newscast, the Mossad providing information leading to prevention of a major terror attack in Germany. Meantime, Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich signing an order transferring the PA's terror funding to where it should actually be headed. And Ultra-Orthodox MKS planning to shrink construction and maintenance train work on Shabbat, but Prime Minister Netanyahu resisting. The Israeli Mossad providing intelligence to Germany, leading to the arrest of an Iranian man suspected of planning a mass terrorist attack, while the suspect tried to purchase highly toxic poisons. ILTV's Steve Leibovich reports.
German police announced the arrest of a 32-year-old suspected with attempting to buy cyanide and racine poison gases to commit a mass Islamist-motivated terror attack. They also detained the suspect's brother.
Wir ermitteln gegen den Beschuldigten und auch dann gegen die weitere Person, soweit die Ermittlungen zu einem Tatzusammenhang führen, wegen des Vorwurfs der Vorbereitung einer schweren staatsgefährdenden Gewalttat. Diese dadurch begangen, dass der Beschuldigte oder gegebenenfalls auch die weitere Person sich Stoffe beschafft haben sollen, mit denen ein Anschlagsszenario begangen werden kann.
The German newspaper Bild first reported that a friendly nation's intelligence agency provided critical information. Israeli sources confirmed the Mossad's involvement.
Wir haben die Hinweise von einem ausländischen befreundeten Sicherheitsdienst erlangt, sind nach Prüfung dieser Hinweise zu dem Entschluss gekommen, dass wir einen Durchsuchungsbeschluss erwirken und diesen auch möglichst zeitnah vollstrecken, um etwaige Beweismittel auch möglichst zügig sicherzustellen.
Police searched the residence of the unidentified suspect in the city of Castrop-Rauxel. The crime carries a potential prison sentence of between 6 months to 10 years. Security officials in Israel are probing if the Iranian suspects were planning on harming Jewish or Israeli targets. Tiny amounts of racine can cause death within 36 to 72 hours. No known antidote exists.
And joining us now with more on this mysterious story is Professor Shlomo Shapiro, Director of the Europa Institute at Bar-Ilan University. Shlomo, thanks for joining. Now, what are the details that can be told about this story, about the suspect in custody?
The very worrying thing about this story is the use of chemical weapons. We have seen in the past Iranian cells and Iranian-supported terrorists in Europe trying to plan and trying to carry out attacks against Israeli or Jewish targets, or targets against the general population, using conventional weapons, using firearms, using vehicles, and so on. What makes this case unique is the relation to chemical weapons, to ricin, a very, very dangerous substance. And if this terror group or this terror cell were in the situation of obtaining chemicals to make ricin, and its use would have been a game changer in the European terror scene.
And before we go to the chemical weapons, how did the German authorities actually know about it? I mean, how did they get to hear about it?
Well, from all reports we hear, the information came from the Israeli Mossad, which is monitoring Iranian support of terrorism all over the world. Not necessarily the information came out of Germany itself. It could have come from the monitoring of communication between Iran and its workers in Europe. It could have come from other sources such as Lebanon or other terrorist-supporting countries. But we should be very happy that the cooperation between the Mossad and European intelligence services is so tight that the Germans could take action very quickly to foil this plot.
And as you mentioned, ricin and other dangerous substances, pretty deadly stuff, not a planned terrorist bombing or shooting. Is the thinking that this was part of a planned mass attack?
I believe that in this case, the Iranians were looking at obtaining more media coverage worldwide for their terror activities. The Iranians are quite frustrated because of Israeli successes in various actions against their nuclear weapon program in Iran and outside it. And I think they are trying to break this deadlock by doing something, some sort of terrorist attack that will obtain media coverage and public attention overall in Europe and worldwide. And what is better for them than trying to use chemical weapons? Any such attack would be breaking news immediately throughout the world.
Any comments coming from Iran? Did they comment on it? Did they say anything?
Not that I know of yet.
Right, and now Israel is reportedly continuing to investigate whether the suspect was planning to strike Jewish or Israeli targets in Germany. What's the likelihood there?
I think the likelihood is pretty high. There have been in the past, a couple of years, other attempts to attack Jewish targets. Many Jewish targets are not well protected in Germany. There is security for the major synagogues, but a lot of the smaller targets could be easily attacked, as we have seen 2 years ago at the synagogue in Halle, which was attacked by a gunman during the Yom Kippur prayers. So this would fit the type of attacks that the Iranians are trying to encourage throughout Europe, not only in Germany.
Shlomo Shapiro, very interesting. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, moving on, in light of the Palestinian Authority's recent actions, a clearer picture emerging from the coming relations between Israel and the PA, or for that matter, the lack thereof, Prime Minister Netanyahu said Finance Minister Smotrich responding with a harsher tone than has been seen in many years. And ILTV's Aaron Porras with the details.
Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich saying now that as long as the Palestinian Authority encourages terror and acts as an enemy, then he has no interest in it continuing to exist. The remark coming after Smotrich signing a decree to block 139 million shekels in tax revenue from the Palestinian Authority as part of punitive measures against international legal actions taken against Israel at the United Nations Security Council last week. And Smotrich planning to continue to make deductions against payments made by the PA to imprison terrorists, which he calls an incentive to terror. Israel making such deductions in the past, but removing them to avoid causing the financial collapse of the PA.
חברים, הבטחנו לתקן, והיום הזה אנחנו מתקנים עוול. זה יום חשוב למוסר, למלחמה בטרור ולצדק. אין צדק גדול יותר מקיזוז כספי הרשות שפעלה לתמיכה בטרור והעברתם למשפחות של הקורבנות של נפגעי הטרור.
Meantime, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu laying out the other steps his government is taking to pressure Ramallah into upholding its commitments and into ending its support for terror.
והחלטנו על שורה של צעדים נגד הרשות הפלסטינית שקידמה החלטה אנטי-ישראלית קיצונית באו"ם. הצעדים הללו כוללים סנקציות נגד בכירים פלסטינים, קיזוז כספי טרור והקפאת פרויקטים בחירה של בנייה פלסטינית בשטחי C, פרויקטים שמנוגדים להתחייבויות מפורשות שהרשות הפלסטינית נטלה על עצמה. אנחנו הקמנו ממשלה אחרת עם מדיניות אחרת, וכולם יראו זאת גם בהמשך.
Joining us now with Smotrich's new policy on the Palestinian Authority, also telling us how this should possibly affect the region, is former Director General of the Ministry for Strategic Affairs and Senior Fellow at the JCPA, or Jerusalem Center for Public Affairs, Brigadier General Reserves Yossi Kuperwasser. So, Yossi, in the first days of the new government, Finance Minister Smotrich cut withheld tax funds collected for the PA, also taking away the VIP travel pass of the Palestinian Foreign Minister. What message is being sent and how is it being received?
Well, the message, I think, is more nuanced than what it appears. The message is that the new government is going to adopt a new policy towards the Palestinian Authority, in which it's going to not accept as a given that it has to help the Palestinian Authority improve its capability to stay in power. And that's the new message in Smotrich's reference to the issue. But at the same time, the government is cautious not to do something that will really endanger the stability of the Palestinian Authority in its mind. And that's why the deduction of the money that the Palestinian Authority gives to the terrorists as salaries is being done according to a law that was adopted back in 2018. It was going to happen anyhow.